I never seen a sad officer in this department. I don't know about other departments, but people who are interested in the foreign assignments, probably after foreign service, there is the service where you you go on foreign assignments a lot. Main thing about it is it's a knowledge intensive service, and that's also a con if you ask me, because you would have to read a lot. As our director says, there is no upgrade of service, there is only exchange of service. 10-15 years down the line, if you're going to regret your decision back then I don't think there's a point taking that service just because I'm enjoying 5-6 years of all this recognition and societal respect, or whatever you call it. Okay. So in our department, what happens is the entire batch gets promoted at once. So it's not vacancy. During it's my first attempt, so I didn't have a lot of awareness about how to prepare, and that is the reason maybe I did more research. GS3 was 78, where I took ahead. GS4 was 109, I think, and my option score was 255, and interview 184.
Oh, awesome, right? Why was GS3 ahead?
But due to COVID, the situation changed. There was a lot of uncertainty. There was no chance of having a peer group as such. So I didn't go to any library, so I prepared in my room itself. So it became a necessity for me to prepare in a silo. Once that rhythm breaks, you can't come back into the same rhythm anytime soon. It will take a lot of consistent days of working to get back into that rhythm. So I missed a lot of family gatherings or my cousin marriages. ये मान के चलो दिमाग में कि हाँ मेरे को नहीं जाना है कहीं और, यही करना है.
Hi everyone, another session of Raw and Real, and today I have with me Tharun Patnaik here with me. He cleared UPSC in his very first attempt, got AIR 99, and then he took a choice which begs a lot of conversation now. He chose Indian Audit Services above a lot of other services, and the first part of this conversation would be him telling us the logic and the reason behind this choice and what's actually going in the ground reality. You would be pleasantly surprised or to discover that a lot of people pick audit services over IRS, as Tarun will discuss more in this conversation. From that, we will segue into his preparation journey, the route he took, which is heavily dependent on self-study to an extent of having almost no mentor, no peer to chat with while you were preparing. And from that, in the last part of the conversation, we'll talk about 60 odd days away or so. So open, over to you, Tarun.
Yes.
Take us to this journey of securing 99 rank, and then why did you pick up audit services?
So why did I pick up audit services? For me, I believe that choosing preferences is purely a personal thing. So it's not like that the set preferences are IAAS, IPS, some other IRS, and these things. Many people have the set mindset कि यही preference होता है, यही लेना है. And it also reflects mostly in the merit list and also the service allocation. But I think everyone has different priorities. So your choices should be based on it. Not every service is the same, and it's not like one service is better than the other. As our director says, there is no upgrade of service, there is only exchange of service. So the thing is, you see, my reasons for picking this is pretty simple. So my first choice is IAS. I don't have to say much about it. Reform services, so IPS and customs were not an option for me. And then foreign services, as I already said, say once you get into foreign services, you can't give the examination again unless you resign from the service. So if you're so keen about becoming an IAS officer, so I don't think foreign service should be a second preference. And then when you look at rest of the services, my preferences are clear. I wanted a service with low political interference and where there is diversity in working, and there's a lot of creative freedom. And that I found only in Audit and Account service. So it depends on what you want. If you want a lot of public interaction and things like that, maybe you can go in the rest of the services, as per it. And if you're more like, you need knowledge intensive services with more creativity and less political influence, where you get space for working and all, maybe you can come to Audit and Account service. So there's no I strictly believe that there is no one service better than the other, and the rest of the thing, like it depends on your priorities. So for me, as I said, say if you want to have public interactions or the recognition in the society, maybe IRS would be a better option than.
Okay. So two things. One, and before we go deep into the audit services, Any reason why you didn't want to go for the uniform services? Like, is it temperamentally not suited to you, or are there some other reasons?
Yeah, no, I felt probably I may not be able to give my 100% in uniform services. I felt maybe my personality was not such that to go into uniform services. So I didn't want to be in a place where, say, 10 or 15 years down the line, and I'm not giving my 100%, and also I'm losing a lot on my personal life. So there are
Okay.
many things I considered doing that. So one thing when you go into this executive post, say IAS or IPS, is you have to sacrifice a lot of your personal life for your professional life. So in that case, if you're
Mm,
not satisfied with your professional life, and I don't think there's no, the benefit of doing all this, going through all this UPSC preparation and all. So 10, 15 years down the line, if you're going to regret your decision back then I don't think there's
mm,
a point taking that service just because I'm enjoying what 5, 6 years of, you know,
makes
all
sense.
this recognition and societal respect or whatever you call it. So that's the reason I didn't
Makes sense.
want to go into uniform services.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So now audit services, right? So
Yes.
most of the janta, which is now preparing for civil services or giving this attempt, we don't know
Hmm.
much about what
Yes.
are the opportunities in audit services, right? And I mean, we can make very sweeping generalizations about this, but
Hmm.
help us, take a deep dive into this. What are the different parts? What's more interesting? What's not, etc., etc.
See, one thing is the most interesting part, and also the more not so exciting part of audit services. It's a knowledge intensive service. So you have to read about things a lot. So the very basic thing of audit, what is audit, is you have to, find the mistakes of others. You will be commenting on the government projects on a lot. You'll be commenting on the government working of the government bureaucracy, like everything, like where there is government involved, evaluating or examining their performance. So in that case, you can't be, less. You can't have lesser knowledge than the auditee, because you are the auditor. You're supposed to have knowledge about those things. That is how you pass a judgment or an opinion. So
Hmm.
the main thing about it is it's a knowledge intensive service, and that's also a con if you ask me, because you would have to read a lot. And
Okay.
the thing is, the service is very professional. So uh, dedication to the service a lot. So I've seen this from a few meetings I had with senior officials of the department, the senior management, everyone, where this service is very professional. And I don't know about other services, but certifications in this service matter a lot. And even if you see in this service, every 3 years after your promotion, you'll necessarily have a training. So there you come
Okay.
back to the academy where you train with your batchmates, and they can go back. So there are a lot of training modules in this service. And uh, apart from that, I would say, like, people who are interested in the foreign assignments, probably after foreign service, there is the service where you go on foreign assignments a lot, because currently we are auditing WHO. We have an ILO audit in the pipeline, and we have audited UN, I think, until 2020, have a 6 year term, and then maybe I
Hmm.
think we're starting very soon the second term also. So in that way, the service is the pros of the service, I could say. And apart from this, of course, you'll have a lot of time to your personal life, because the workload is a pretty chill compared. I'll not say we don't do a lot of work. We do a lot of work, but what I saw in the service is there's a clear segregation between professional service and professional life and personal life. So
Hmm.
the officers have been dedicating quite a time to their family, and I never seen a sad officer in this department. I don't know about other departments, but so cons of the
Okay.
service, pretty evident. You don't have any public interaction. There's no direct impact of your work. So your report goes to the government, and as a result, you may have something, but you can't directly make a change. So that
Hmm.
con. But looking at the long term view, I don't really think it's a negative.
And I remember you mentioned on phone call there are three aspects to the work assignments. Okay, one is accounting, which is pretty much the hardcore math or meticulous detailing and
Yes, yes.
round trip of what's going on. What are the other two aspects uh, in the
See,
service?
primarily the work profile. If I want to, if I'm going to be talking about, see, one is accounting, which is not our core function. So we do
Okay.
accounting for states. We don't do the accounts of central government. That is taken care of by ICAS, the Civil Accounting Service. And for defense, it's
Okay.
Defense Accounting Service, and for railways, it's Railway Accounting Service. And even for postal telecom, they have their own accounting services, which are also recruited through UPSC. Doing this pre-independence and post-independence also, we have been doing this. That is why we are doing the accounting of states. So in 1970, the center came up with a with a separate accounting services thing in 1970s. I think 76 is where we have a civil account service start. So that's when so that's not our core function basically. Our core function, our constitutional mandate is audit. So that is our core function. So we audit all the central and state governments, and we also start auditing our local bodies, but that's not mandated in the constitution. So everything that's spent out of auditing it. So our core function is that, and audit is, as I said, allotted clusters, which are group of ministries. Say you'll be handling around 8 to 10 departments, and if you're lucky, you may be handling around 20 departments at the starting stage, where you prepare the audit plan for your audit teams. Your teams go audit, and then you prepare a report and submit to the headquarters, who refine it and then place it before the legislature. So this is the usual workflow. There you have an accountant general. For every state, you have an accountant general, one for the accounts side and one for the audit side. So the AG audit looks after the auditing part of the state, and the AG accounts looks after the accounts of the state. And the third part, if I can say, it is the foreign assignments. So we are the department with very good international relations, and the CAG of India has a very good international reputation. So we get a lot of international assignments on auditing the various international organizations. And also we have very good relations with other other supreme audit institutions of other countries. So, for example, we have two Bhutanese officers and two Maldivian officers training with us currently.
Oh,
so,
awesome.
That is the third aspect of the service.
Okay, awesome. One thing which I remember came out in my head while we were having that chat. So, it's a knowledge intensive thing.
Yes.
You mentioned that you have your own infrastructure and your own autonomy in terms of the promotions are very timely.
Yes.
Tell me more about that.
So the thing with the entire Department of Indian Audit and Accounts, so it's independent of the executive. We're not a part of executive. So till the additional deputy CAG level, which is an additional secretary level post, the CAG has freedom to create as many posts as he wants. So in our department, what happens is the entire batch gets promoted at once. So it's not vacancy post. Deputy CAG, which is a secretary level post. So obviously it's the apex cadre, apex level post of this department. So we don't have the freedom to create our own post. And apart from that, if I can say, we have our own infrastructure, be it quarters, be it our buildings, establishments. Even if you see in Shimla, the Court and Castle, it's a heritage building where the office is housed, and even the place where I live, Yaros, it's a heritage building. Muhammad Jinnah used to live here, as they say. So these infrastructure, I think, these legacy departments, which you can say railways or the infrastructure. And our department is also one of them. Our department started in, I think, 1860. So it is also one of these oldest departments. So we have a lot of infrastructure for us.
Makes sense. And one interesting observation was that you mentioned around 60-70% of your batch had picked IAAS over and above IRS.
Yes.
Okay. And I'm sure this is not a common wisdom outside.
Yeah, like not many. So I thought I would be one of the exceptions where I picked IAAS as second, but I found a batchmate who also had IAAS as a second preference. And there are many people in my batch. As I said, 60 to 70% they picked IAAS over IRS because, maybe they had their own relatives or connections where they got to know about this service, researched about it, and probably they found for themselves. As I said, it's a personal choice. For themselves, maybe they found out IAAS is a better service than, say, other central services.
Makes sense. Let's segue from there to your preparation days. And one interesting thing, and one of the more counterintuitive modus operandi of a preparation was you prepared completely in silo. You didn't come to Delhi. You prepared in the COVID time. This was your very first attempt, except from the senior, who you took some inspiration from. Mostly it was all self-taught, self-discipline, everything. Right? Take us more into this. Why did you pick that? What was the journey like?
See, it was more of a consequence of COVID, I could say. Maybe if there was no COVID, I would have taken coaching in one of the coaching institutions. I would have made friends there and had a peer group and things like that. But due to COVID, the situation changed. There was a lot of uncertainty. I didn't know when I would go to Delhi. Only both of my roommates who I had in Delhi. Even I went to Delhi, so I didn't have a lot of friends because I didn't attend any coaching there. So
Hmm.
only both my roommates who I had known earlier during my school and college days. So they were my room. They were my roommates. So there was no chance of having a peer group as such. So I didn't go to any library. So I prepared in my room itself. So it became a necessity for me to prepare in a silo. So
Hmm.
when your situation is like that, you have to do something to compensate for this gap or information asymmetry or something. So that is when I started research. So before starting my preparation, I did a lot of research. I used to watch the strategy videos. I used to watch a lot of YouTube stuff and read a lot of websites on how to prepare for UPSC, the syllabus, and also by that research, I made a I prepared my strategy in that way. So even before starting my preparation in a proper way, I had a strategy that I'm sorry, strong resource list, and this is my timetable that I will be preparing from say June to next May, where the next prelims is. Say that I'd give 3 months to optional, 2 more months to this subject, 2 months to this subject, and then I broke it down into different targets, and that is how I approached this. So told you the unpopular opinion. I have this unpopular opinion that you don't necessarily need a mentor to actually clear this examination.
Yeah, but the thing that you did that did work for you was that you stuck to your plan. You stick to the guns. That was non-negotiably followed, like to the T, right? And that's hard work. That's kind of, I mean, it's not an easy thing. The deep work which you kind of executed flawlessly is not, a common place to see.
Yeah, I think that comes from the strategy, because once your strategy is strong, once your strategy is pretty resilient, you know what you have to do because you have done your research. You know this is the way to go, and once you start going in, say if you are attempting some mock tests, you get good marks, and that is when you start to feel confident. Ki हाँ मैं सही चल रहा हूँ. This is
Hmm.
the way to do it, and that I think once you get that momentum, you'll go to the end.
और ये
So
रिदम कभी भी डिस्टर्ब नहीं हुई दिस रिदम दिस काइंड ऑफ द फीडबैक मैकेनिज्म जो भी खुद के लिए बनाते हैं इट्स अ वेरी इंजीनियरिंग like speak, right? This is a very engineer
yeah,
modus
it's
operandi, right? So even the
yeah.
videos you watch, the people you took inspiration from were
Hmm.
all engineers having similar background. But ये
Yes,
rhythm
yes.
कभी break नहीं हुई Tarun in the whole journey?
Yeah, that's the point. No, rhythm break होने के लिए बहुत ही edge, or you have something coming up, or your friends are calling, asking you to come on a vacation, because those are the things you have to avoid for a year or so, or when you're in preparation.
Hmm.
Because once that rhythm breaks, you can't come back into the same rhythm anytime soon. It will take a lot of consistent days of working to get back into that rhythm. So I missed a lot of
Hmm.
family gatherings or my cousin marriages. It will be very monotonous. You'll need a lot of motivation going in this because the daily routine is very hard.
Hmm.
Studying for 8 9 hours, doing nothing and all. And maybe to just get clear things off my head, I would watch football match every week or an F1 race. That's what I would do usually. So that's how the rhythm doesn't break. When you consistently keep on working, and ये मान के चलो दिमाग में कि हाँ मेरे को नहीं जाना है कहीं और, यही करना है.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
if you start going out, the rhythm would break often.
Makes sense. Okay, come to the last practical part of this conversation. The people who are writing prelims right now, if you look back, what was your strategy for the last 60, 100 days? What worked for you?
So,
What did you follow to
uh,
the T?
to answer that, I should say this key before prelims, my mains part was, sorted. So I
Okay.
completed almost, I think, 90% of my main syllabus before my prelim. So the basic cheese to sorted tha. And then during my 2 months before the prelims or 3 months before the prelims, I used to attend mock tests. So I gave as many mock tests as possible. I used to give one mock test every day. So say
Okay.
बीच में cheat days ले लो तो I guess you could give 60, 50 or 60 mock tests. I think you can easily give. So I used to have my mock tests and revise them immediately. And then first half of my day, say I start my mock test at 8, 8 to 10, I give my mock test, 10 to 10:30, maybe take a breakfast break, and 10:30 to say 12:30 or 1, I used to revise that mock test. And then in the afternoon half, I used to revise the static part. So I broke those 90 days before prelims. That is when I started preparing for prelims. Those 90 days I broke into five parts, which are geography, history, polity, economics, and environment. So you get 18 days per subject. And then I broke this 18 days into three parts, say 9 plus 6. You can put some more days in history and then pull some more days out of economy if you say if you're strong in economy. And then so broadly, this was the plan. So first, I used to allocate 9 days to each subject. That's the first 45 days, and then next 30 days, 6 days to each subject, and then next three more days to each subject. Next 15 days. So that is how my 90 days were planned. And I used to again, it's the same thing. Break. I have to revise say three of my notes and four of the NCRTs. I used to break that across the 9 days. So I used to do
Hmm.
this in the second part of the day. The first half of the day is completely for mock test and its revision.
Okay. So main preparation was done. Optional was more or less covered even before you wrote the prelims.
More or less one time reading, yes.
And
So if
optional
you
was
have,
anthropology.
yeah, I didn't have much time to cover optional because, of course, due to COVID, I graduated late, 2 months late. So my graduation happened only in September. So I could start my preparation only in October. So I had to, sacrifice something, say GS or optional. So I chose to sacrifice optional because I thought I could outsource some of it to the coaching I took. So, so that's one of my reasons. My optional marks were, below par. So,
Okay.
you have to
Can you tell
sacrifice
me your
something.
scores? Can you tell me your scores? What were your first
My
prelims and then mains,
scores,
if you remember?
prelims, I think it's 99.9, if I remember
Okay.
right. So CSAT, I think I got around 140 something. Mains, my SS score is 135. My GS1 was 112. GS2 was 115. GS3 was 78, where I took a hit. GS4 was
Hmm.
109, I think. And my optional score was 255 and interview 184.
Oh, that's awesome, right? I mean, why was GS3 a hit? I mean, why was that? Did you know
So,
it coming?
yeah, because there were a lot of current affairs that year. I didn't, which I was not strong at. So those questions, I took a hit and I got only 78. But I don't regret it because the same preparation fetched me good marks in the other three GS. So
Yeah,
to gain some, I lost some, but net, I think it's good.
optimized. Everything is
Yes.
optimized. Awesome. Okay, so that's kind of it. It covers everything. So I mean, just to summarize this, the prelims which is coming right them for yourself, and then you had your own
Yes.
plan for those
Yes.
specific subjects.
Yes.
Maybe it was the first attempt, so you had pretty much things defined and you stuck to the gun.
Because
Good.
yeah, that is what due to it's my first attempt, so I didn't have a lot of awareness about how to prepare, and that is the reason maybe I did more research, and which
Yeah,
which in turn strengthened my strategy.
makes sense. Thanks, Tarun. Thanks for finally taking out time. I know you are undergoing a training right now, right,
Yes,
at
yes,
the institute. Awesome. We'll push this video somewhere tomorrow and let's see what comments come, specifically from people who are studying in Silo, who are not in Delhi or any of those major centers. If they have any question, we'll try to reach out to you again.
sure,
We'll have a
sure.
chat.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.